The Principality of Orchha was situated in the region of Bundelkhand, that is considered the heart of India. This is where the present-day states of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh seem to have a confluence. In past, this place was densely forested, full of deep ravines, and this is where flows swift-flowing river Betwa. Natural protection was good enough, and no Bundela ruler ever felt the need to raise high ramparts or dig deep moats to protect the fort here. The fort at Orchha has an appearance very different from many other forts in India. It doesn't look like a military building, but a beautiful palace, well protected. A really beautiful place to be around.
The Orchha Fort on the banks of the river Betwa in Madhya Pradesh is at a distance of 25 kilometers from Jhansi. The town of Orchha is famous the world over for its palaces, temples and canopies built in a blend of Hindu and Islamic architecture. The fort is arguably the best specimen of Bundela architecture. The old capital of the Bundelas was at Kundar. King Rudra Pratap appreciated the strategic significance of Orchha and had started work on this fort but couldn't complete it. His son Bhartichand accomplished the task and transferred the capital from Kundar to Orchha. Many other famous names are associated with this fort. Among them are Madhukar Shah, a contemporary of Akbar the Great, and Veer Singh Deo, who was befriended by Jahangir. The river Betwa has an intimate and inseparable link with Orchha. The stream is considered sacred and worshipped in Bundelkhand. A dip in its water is believed to be holy and it is praised in folk songs. The same river serves as a moat for the fort.
महाकवि केशव दास ने बहुत अच्छी पंक्तियां लिखी हैं। तुंगा रैन प्रसिद्ध है नीर भरे भरपूर और बेतरवती पातक हरे पातक हरत जरे।
Bundelkhand is a rugged region covered by dense forest. That is the reason the fort was considered almost invincible. It was not thought necessary to raise tall ramparts or build high towers. The thick walls were built only to provide seclusion and privacy for those who dwelt in the palaces within the fort. The ramparts and the gates here are quite low. Most of the fortifications date back to the times of Madhukar Shah and Veer Singh Deo. Chhatrabhuj temple stands right in the middle of the town. It is not built in the style of traditional Hindu temples. It reflects features found in different types of buildings. There are towers, recalling a fort, and domes and minarets that are encountered in a mosque. Legend has it that this was begun by Madhukar Shah and was completed by Veer Singh, who entrusted the job to a Muslim master builder. Raja Mahal is a three-storied building. The Diwan-e-Aam and Diwan-e-Khas here are quite grand. Rani Vas, that served as a residence for the ladies, is also housed here. This palace has been repaired many times and new sections have been added to it.
You actually have a boom in the construction of the forts, the enlargement of the forts, the kind of construction of the palaces, and generally the patronage of all of the arts at a time when the rulers have become Mughal mansabdars.
The Diwan-e-Khas in the Raja Mahal was built by Madhukar Shah. Not only was Madhukar Shah a high-ranking mansabdar in Akbar's court, but he was also a connoisseur of art, literature and music. During his reign, talented artists received generous patronage and encouragement. Orchha began to emerge as the cultural capital in the north. The interior of the Raja Mahal has many spacious courtyards decorated with beautiful pillars. Darbar Mahal is adorned with beautiful paintings depicting scenes of royal life, hunts and celebrations. The best specimens of the Orchha school of miniatures can be seen here. Because of this rich collection of paintings, it is also called Rangeen Mahal. The hall was used as a venue for recreation and music and dance recitals. Most of the paintings in the bedroom of the ruler of Orchha create a romantic mood. The dalliance of lovers is juxtaposed with depiction of celestial love between Radha and Krishna. The Mughal court's influence is quite clear in these works.
This huge profusion that we see of either secular themes, rag, raginis, baramasa, or the events, lives of the kings, or even the sacred narratives, so many Ramayan, so many Mahabharata, so many Geet Govinds. This is something that actually is done by these various courts because they have seen the example of the very prestigious, profusely illustrated books that the Mughals had.
Diwani Arm is the main complex in this palace. This too was built by Madhukar Shah. This was where the rulers of Orchha gave audience to their subjects and participated in festivities and celebrations. The paintings on the wall here have, alas, faded with the passage of time.
Most of the rulers of Orchha were far-sighted. They realized the significance of peace, and they took all the pains to preserve this fort and their capital from wanton destruction of war. And this is the reason their accomplished diplomacy ensured that this fort is far better preserved today than many other forts of India. Many art historians believe that it is here in Orchha, in this fort, that we encounter the best examples of Hindu-Islamic architectural style. The miniature paintings of Orchha in the fort and in the temples around are world famous.
Orchha paintings are considered to be a separate school of Indian miniatures. All the colors used were made with natural sources, flowers and plants. These paintings belong to the Mughal period, but are quite distinct from the Mughal style. Most of these paintings date back to the reign of Veer Singh. The Bundela ruler was a great patron of the arts, and his court drew artists like a strong magnet. The Lakshmi Narayan temple was built by Veer Singh. It resembles a fort much more than it does a temple. It is internationally renowned for the paintings on its walls and ceilings. Besides images of gods and goddesses, scenes from Hindu myths and legends too are painted. The idea was not merely to entertain, but to also inspire.
You will find that when a painting has to be designed to be put on a wall in an area of public access to the ruler, there is a lot of thought done in order to plan what kind of paintings, what kind of themes will be depicted in these kind of areas. And there is often a very strong symbolic component about allegories about the king or about the nature of kingship, the king's justice or his magnificence, which asks for certain kinds of paintings to be chosen to be depicted so that they create a kind of a frame for the figure of the king himself.
The subject of the paintings in the Lakshmi Narayan temple is not restricted to romantic heroes and heroines. They also chronicle the historic events of the 18th and 19th centuries. There is a remarkable realistic portrayal of the British siege of Jhansi in 1857. The Dashavatar series is also very impressive.
The Dashavatar, we have to also remember, has a strong political message, because it's not just about God, but it's about God coming down to earth to rescue people in times of trouble. And therefore the analogy between the acts of God as protectors of the people and the acts of these kings as protectors of the people is something that is commonly made.
One of the most fascinating legends associated with the fort of Orchha is that of Rai Parveen. Rai Parveen was an extremely beautiful woman, a talented poetess and a dancer of great genius. She was the favorite disciple of the Hindi poet Keshav Das, who has composed Rasika Priya. Her fame reached the Mughal court and Akbar sent for her. Rai Parveen did not want to leave her beloved Orchha, but it was impossible to disobey the Mughal emperor. She ended up in the Mughal court but wrote some very moving lines to Akbar. She wrote, "Your Excellency, Your Highness, there are three kinds of people who live on leftovers of others: crows, dogs and beggars. Why does the mighty emperor like you want to reduce himself to this category?" Akbar was full of remorse. He realized his mistake. He accepted Rai Parveen as his sister, lavished expensive gifts on her and sent her back to Orchha with full honors. This relationship was maintained throughout his life. We are reminded of this legend as we look at the palace called Rai Parveen Mahal.
The palace of Rai Parveen may be small in size, but it is second to none among the many beautiful buildings in Orchha. Most of it is in the form of an open pavilion, and the space was used for musical soirees and intimate literary gatherings. It is reasonable to suggest that the beautiful Parveen must have been the source of inspiration for the painters in Orchha. Her story compels us to think about the lot of talented women in medieval India. A woman was considered an object of pleasure in feudal society. They led subordinate lives within the family, even in royal households. A woman like Parveen could make her mark only with the support of a sensitive consort.
One of the major attractions of the fort at Orchha is a building called Jahangir Mahal. It is believed when the Mughal Emperor Jahangir was not yet called Jahangir, was Prince Salim, and had raised the banner of revolt against his mighty father Akbar, he was beset with very many difficulties. It was in the moments of distress that the Bundela ruler Veer Singh Judev afforded him protection, gave him generous help. And when Salim became Emperor Jahangir, he never forgot this debt. He honored his Bundela friend very gratefully and allowed him to play a role in the history of India quite disproportionate for the size of the state of Orchha and its natural resources. Orchha could enjoy long periods of peace and prosperity and flourish. It is this friendship that Jahangir Mahal commemorates, built by Veer Singh Bundela for the Mughal Emperor.
Jahangir Mahal, a witness to the friendship between the Mughals and the Bundelas, is famous for its harmonious architectural style. While building it, Veer Singh didn't forget the local vernacular style of Bundelkhand. Domes and arches were added following the Mughal fashion. Carved stone screens in the Rajput style and the shikhar from the Jain temples were also included. Although there is a great diversity of influences here, nothing jars the senses or appears in bad taste. In fact, the different elements seem to complement each other. There is no incontrovertible evidence that Jahangir ever stayed in this palace. What is beyond doubt is that this palace is the best specimen of Bundela architecture. The friendship between Jahangir and Veer Singh was founded on the same policy of Sulh-e-Kul that Akbar had initiated.
Jahangir's rule was, in a sense, continuation of Akbar's rule. All the major military, bureaucratic and fiscal institutions of the Mughal Empire were already crafted by Akbar. So Jahangir inherited almost a fully fledged state system. He also inherited from his father the legacy of the Rajput alliance with the Rajput ruling houses. And one major figure in this was Veer Singh Deo Bundela.
The Chhatris or canopied cenotaphs of Orchha are outstanding examples of Bundela architecture. Here, one encounters elements of mausoleums, palaces, temples and forts, all in one place. The last rites of the rulers of Orchha and the members of the royal family were performed on the banks of the Betwa river, and the Chhatris are built here to mark the spot of their cremation. The characteristic feature of Bundela palaces are domes and the Chhatris that bear triangular shikhars as their mark of identity. The story of Orchha is not a tale of victories and defeats. It is known as a tranquil land on the banks of the Betwa river. It was long-lasting peace that made the cultivation of art and architecture possible. People could enjoy the fruits of prosperity. Cooperation, reconciliation, and harmony are the most priceless heritage of this fort.